Now that you have seen how to use the distributive property and combine like terms and what those vocabulary words mean, we are going to put them together in problems that require you to do both. So an algebraic expression is in simplest form when it has no like terms. That means nothing that can be combined together, and no parentheses. So these problems are going to start off longer, and your job is to make them simpler. And it's by doing the two things that we're talking about here. So the first thing that you always have to do, if it's there, is to distribute. And then once you're done distributing, then you're going to be at the part where you can combine like terms. When you're doing this, you definitely want to make sure that your answer is in ABC order. And that your constant is at the end. Right? The constants tend to go in the back, just like on a train, they are the caboose. All right, so once we follow these steps and we use our numbers correctly, we should end up with a simplified answer. So I'm going to work out all of these problems that you see as examples and talk you through them to show you what to do and how to understand them, and then you will get to practice some on your own and in your homework. So for number one, the number you are distributing is always going to be right in front of the parentheses. So in this case, we're distributing a positive 3. So 3 times x is going to give you 3x. This is a negative 5, so that's 3 times negative 5, which makes minus 15. And then bring down the plus 8x and the plus 1. Once your parentheses are gone, that means your distributing is done. So then the second thing you're going to have to do is combine like terms. And this is where you need to identify the family members or the terms that have the same variable or no variable at all and put them together. That's what makes it simpler. So in this problem, I can combine the 3x and the plus 8x. Remember that the sign in front of the number tells you what operation you're doing. So at this point, I'm adding 3 plus 8, and that gives me 11x. Then I see that I have two constants left, or just two regular numbers. That's negative 15 and positive 1. So if you read it from left to right, you're taking negative 15 plus 1, and that makes negative 14. So your final answer is 11x minus 14, and that's as far as you can go. The first term has a variable, the second term does not. They cannot go together. All right, so in number 2, the number outside of the parentheses is the 5. So we want to distribute the 5. 5 times n is going to give us 5n. Then we have a positive 6. So 5 times positive 6 is going to be a positive 30. Bring down the minus 21. You haven't used it yet. Okay, so parentheses are gone, distributing is done. So looking at my terms, I can combine the positive 30 with the minus 21. Right? And again, if you read it from left to right, it tells you what you're doing. You're taking 30 and subtracting 21. So 5n goes in the front because your variables always go first. And then 30 minus 21 is going to give you a positive 9. Make sure whatever kind of number you have, that sign in front of it tells you if it's positive or negative. All right, then we go to the next example. Again, I see parentheses. If I cover up the 18, then all I see is a negative sign. And you were told when you learned how to distribute that there's an invisible negative 1 right there. They will never write the 1. So if you see just a negative sign, that's what you're distributing, is a negative 1. So the 18 is just going to drop down. He doesn't get used yet. Okay, when I'm distributing, I'm taking negative 1 times 7v, which makes negative 7v. Then I'm going to take negative 1 times positive 1, and that's going to be a negative 1. Okay, so distributing is done. Now to combine like terms. I don't have any v's to go together, so negative 7v, because remember the sign is in front of the number, goes first. Then I can combine 18 and minus 1. 18 minus 1 is going to give me a positive 17. All right, then we go to the next one, number 10. Okay, if I cover up or ignore the negative 2p, I can just bring it straight down. I'm distributing a negative 6 to what's in parentheses. Right, so negative 6 times p is going to give me negative 6p. This is a negative 4. Negative 6 times negative 4 makes a positive 24. Watch your signs, because if you mess up your signs right there, there's no hope for your answer to come out right. Then bring down the plus 22. Okay, so distributing is done. Now I want to combine like terms. I'm going to start with my variables. I have negative 2p to combine with negative 6p. Negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8p. Then if I look at my two numbers, I can put those together. A positive 24 can go with a positive 22, and that's going to make a positive 46. All right, going to the next one, number 11. Again, if you ignore the 1, just bring it down because the 1 is not what's being distributed. You can see that what you're distributing is that negative 9 right there. That's what's in front of the parentheses. All right, so negative 9 times 2n is going to be negative 18n. Don't forget your variables. Okay, and then this is a positive 3, so negative 9 times positive 3 is negative 27. Bring down the minus 7n that you haven't used yet. All right, so now we want to look at combining. We have to start with our variable terms first. So this is negative 18n. That's going to combine with negative 7n. So when I read it from left to right, it says negative 18 minus 7, which makes negative 25n. And then if I look at what I've got left, they're just constants. So 1 can combine with negative 27. 1 minus 27 is negative 26. All right, when you get to number 12, you see two sets of parentheses, and that means you got to distribute twice, 2 different times with 2 different numbers, and then you combine. So always distribute first, no matter how many of them you've got. All right, so in the first parentheses, we're distributing a 2. In the second parentheses, we're distributing a positive 3, and then we'll look at what we've got left. All right, so the first one, 2 times a, is going to give us 2a. This is a negative 4, so 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. That one's done. Now go to the second one. Positive 3 times 9 is positive 27. This is a negative 1a. For those of you who like to see that 1 there, you can write it there. It's just never going to be written there for you. Okay, so this is positive 3 times negative 1a, which makes negative 3a. All right, so now we're ready to combine like terms. So the variables go first. 2a will combine with negative 3a. 2 minus 3 is a negative 1a. If you write the 1, you're not going to be penalized for it, but it doesn't need to be there. If you don't see something there, it's that invisible 1 that we've talked about before. Okay, so then you have negative 8 and positive 27 that can go together. And when you take and combine negative 8 plus 27, you get positive 19. Right, then the last two examples that we have left also have 2 distributings in them, so we're going to keep practicing with some of those. In number 13, you're going to distribute an 8 to the first set, and then you're distributing a negative 4 to the second set. So do one at a time. Don't try to do them all at once. 8 times 2k is going to give us 16k. This is a negative 7, so 8 times negative 7 is negative 56. Now you're done with that one. Go to the next one. Negative 4 times k is negative 4k. This is a positive 5. Negative 4 times positive 5 makes a negative 20. Okay, so my distributing's done. Now I'm looking to combine like terms, so I'm going to start with the k's. You have 16k. That's going to go with negative 4k. 16 minus 4 produces 12k. And then you have negative 56 and negative 20. And again, if you read it from left to right, that tells you how to type it in. Negative 56 minus 20 is going to give you negative 76. Right, and then the last example that you have to do is going to also have 2 distributings. The 14y is not going to be used yet. You can bring that straight down. That has nothing to do with the distributing. If you look outside of the very first set of parentheses, there's that negative sign, which means there's that invisible negative 1 going on. Okay, we're distributing a negative 1 to that one. In the second parentheses, we're going to distribute a positive 5. Right, so always identify that number that you have to share to everybody. Negative 1 times y is negative 1y. Then you have a negative 2 right here. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. Watch your signs again. Right, then we go to the second set. 5 times y is positive 5y. This is a positive 9. So 5 times positive 9 is positive 45. Okay, we're at the point where we can combine like terms. Start with your variables. There are 3 y terms. All 3 of them need to go together. 14y minus 1y plus 5y. Go left to right. 14 minus 1 is 13. 13 plus 5 makes 18y. Okay, then you still have the constants in here, so that's a positive 2 that's going to go with a positive 45. And 2 plus 45 makes a positive 47. Right? So at this point, you need to use what you've learned from your previous notes and class, right, and what you've seen in this video, and you need to write a summary about simplifying using the distributive property and combining like terms. And then these notes will also help you with your homework and any other classwork that you may have to do today.